What is up guys, Bulbarips here, back at it again with another video. This is part 2 of my National Pokédex Binder Progress video series. So if you haven't watched part 1 yet, go to my channel. It's my actually recently uploaded video after this one. So yeah, be sure to check it out. I pretty much explained how I was going to go about when it comes to building my National Pokédex Binder. So yeah, this is part 2. In part 1, I showed you guys my complete Kanto section because I basically just got the 151 card, so that was pretty convenient, pretty easy. And a bit of Johto. I'm pretty like halfway through Johto right now, so that's pretty good. For this part, I'll be showing you guys Hoenn. So I have a few Hoenn cards to add to the binder here, and also a few Johto cards that I missed out on the last part, on the first part. But there's only like 3 of them here, so it's not really adding much. But yeah, so mostly we're doing Hoenn for this video, so I'm very excited. Hoenn is definitely one of the more fan favorite regions. But before I get into it though, I want to just say something about the self-imposed rules that I have for myself when it comes to building my national Pokédex binder. So if you recall in part 1, I mentioned that I will only be collecting uh, current era cards, meaning the cards that are currently released now in the Scarlet and Violet series, the ones with gray borders. So to make the binder look fresh, modern, current, and I honestly just prefer the gray borders because they're more neutral than the yellow borders, so it makes the cards look a bit better in my opinion. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but hey, to each his own, right? And then another rule is that I'm not going to collect any regional variants, alternate forms of certain Pokemon. So I'm only really collecting one each of the 1,000 plus Pokemon right now that we have right now. So no alternate forms, regional variants, and all that. Since they're basically still the same Pokemon, they still share the same number in the Pokédex. So I'm pretty good with not really adding those anymore. They're more for like a regional Pokédex as opposed to a national Pokédex anyway. So yeah. And the last thing is I'll only be collecting commons, uncommons, and holos as much as possible for all the Pokemon. So obviously not all of them are accounted for in the current era. So there are still Pokemon who don't have cards yet in this current era with the gray borders. So I'm gonna have to wait for those to release. But that's part of the fun, right? Every new set that comes out, I get to anticipate if there's a new Pokemon that I can add to the binder that didn't have a card yet. So yeah, it will be making this journey worthwhile. I did mention though, this is the change that I decided to make. That's why I'm recapping the rules. I'm not gonna collect EX cards anymore, because I mentioned that if there's a certain Pokemon that is only available as an EX card so far in the current era, then I'll get the EX card. But I decided, you know what? Let's just go all in with the commons, uncommons, and holos only. I think it'll look a lot cleaner that way, so that there's no like EXs looking out of place. Although for the ones in 151, since I already have them, I might as well just keep them. And besides, they're part of one set anyway, so I don't mind the 151 EXs here. But if I change my mind, then I can just switch them out for a more normal card, like a holo or an uncommon, if they have. I know a few already have. Like I think Wigglytuff has one, Zapdos has a holo. So if I decide to replace those, why not? But for now, I'll keep them. So yeah, I'm only really just going for bulks. So it's cheaper for me to do so because 1,000 Pokemon is gonna cost a lot, even though it's just bulk. Anyway, so we're gonna be adding majority of Hoenn in this part. So before we do that, so I'll show you the cards here. So let me just move the binder first and Bulbasaur. Well, this one's Johto. So I did say that I'm gonna add a few Johto cards, aka these 3. Mareep, Flappy, and Girafarig. I did mention an Ampharos, but it's only available as an EX, and since I'm not gonna get the EXs anymore, I passed on it. I'm just gonna wait for a normal Ampharos to come out soon. I'm pretty sure they will make one. It's Ampharos. It's one of the more popular Pokemon. So now these are all the Hoenn Pokemons that we're gonna be adding. Pretty decent amount. It's obviously not all of them, but and I actually have more coming in. They just didn't come in yet. So this was like the first batch that came in. So yeah. So we're just gonna quickly, whoops, I almost messed that one up. So we're just gonna quickly go over them. Actually, let's just, yeah, love disc. Yeah, so these are all from the current era, gray borders to make the binder look fresh, modern, and so that it's all uniform. The gray borders really grew on me. I was initially impartial to them when they first got revealed, but then again, I'm a fan of Japanese cards, so for the English to sort of adopt the same look as the Japanese, well, we're actually, all the languages are sort of becoming one certain look now for the cards, as opposed to before, where it's Japanese, the gray borders, and then everything else is English. I mean, yellow borders for English, Chinese, and all that. So at least we're now having a uniform look for all the cards. But those are all the cards that we're going to be adding into the binder. So I'll do a quick cut and show you guys all these cards in the binder in the respective slots. Alrighty, so we're back in the binder view. So we added Mareep and Flaffy for Johto. So if you remember all of this is from part 1. So if you want to see Johto, just go back to part 1. Girafarig, we added Girafarig. So that's the only additionals that we added for Johto. We can now skip to Hoenn. So this is where we ended in part 1 for Johto. Hoenn, a bunch of empty slots here. They don't have cards for the starters yet in the current era. We do have a Poochyena to start us off. Mightyena. These aren't in the video earlier because I already had these prior to making this video, so I already put them in the binder. So there are some cards here that I didn't show earlier that are already here in the binder. So yeah, Mightyena and Poochyena are some of them. I showed you these two. These weren't in the video earlier. Showed you these two. So yeah. But more or less, they're all Hoenn Pokemon. I actually almost completed this page, except for Gardevoir. It's only available as an EX in the current era, but since it's an EX, I'm not getting it anymore. Well, if back then I would have, in part 1, I said if there's only an EX so far for the Pokemon, I'm getting it, but I decided to only collect commons, uncommons, and hollows. So we're gonna have to wait for a regular Gardevoir to come out in a future set. Pretty decent amount that we were able to do here. Sharpedo Camerupt, Team Aqua, Team Magma signature Pokemon. So at least we're able to sort of make a dent with Hoenn. Almost filled this one up except for 2. Baltoy Claydol. And we've actually reached the final page of Binder 1. We're ending with Shuppet. There's supposed to be a Banette EX here, but it's an EX. Tropius. So we're moving on to binder number 2, which I'm gonna get here. So this is my first time showing binder number 2 actually. Oh, look at that, a whole lot of nothing. We actually need to move to the next page. There we go. So we have Love Disc there. So that's the last one in the haul that I have for this part that I showed earlier. These two I didn't show in the video earlier, Beldum and Metagross. We don't have Metang yet. And lastly, we have Latias. And then now we have Turtwig here to start Sinnoh. But I'm not going to show you, as you can see, there's a card peeking there. I'm not going to show you anything else because I don't have much for Sinnoh and also the other gens. So just stay tuned for the next parts for those. So let's go back to our first setup again. Alright, so that's the update for part 2 of my National Pokédex Binder Progress video series. So I hope you guys enjoyed this part. I really did. Hoenn is definitely one of my favorite regions. Yeah, stay tuned for the next coming parts. Of course, we're going to start adding some Sinnoh cards. I'm actually going to skip all the way to Paldea for the next part, because I decided to go with Paldea first because you can actually get almost all of them, since the current era is literally their era, Scarlet and Violet, Paldea. So we might do Paldea and maybe a bit of Sinnoh and some Hoenn also for the next part, because I still have a couple of Hoenn cards that are coming that didn't make this video. So yeah, so we might do Hoenn, Sinnoh, and Paldea for part 3, hopefully. So yeah, I'm very excited for those. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next part of this series. Thanks for watching.